Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today on the Battle for Azeroth Beta, we're going to be discussing why world questing on the opposing team's island is going to be a lot more dangerous than you've probably previously thought. Now, the video I posted of the world PvP video yesterday, I expected quite a bit of backlash on it, being that I was fighting a lot of 110's and lower players. But in this video, we're going to go into detail about why that is a little bit more dangerous than you've probably imagined. So let's go ahead and do this. The style of battle that we're kind of used to in World of Warcraft when it comes between a 110 fighting a 120 is generally most of your spells won't hit because he's outside of your level range, and originally that's how Battle for Azeroth was if you were to duel 110's on a 120, as I know because my DK is 120, this one's only 110. Now, I do have this DPS mob behind me, and this DPS mob is a Skull, which I believe he's also a Skull scaled for a 120 DPS. Now, normally what we'd see is a 110 trying to fight a 120 is the majority of your abilities are going to do very little damage, and most of your melee attacks are going to be parried, they're going to miss, they're not going to hit the target, and a lot of your ranged attacks such as Howling Blast is either going to miss or it's going to be parried, or it's just not going to hit the target. And you know, really fighting something 10 levels higher than you is going to be very ineffective. So we're going to go ahead and use a video I used from my last video as a reference point to kind of point out exactly what I'm talking about. So as you can see from this video on my DK, I end up running up towards the docks. I pop Army of the Dead to full burst on this level 110 warrior standing here. I gotta click off that Lua era. But I end up getting a quick apocalypse burst on him, and he disarms me. And you notice I'm hit with his CC right away. And as soon as he runs away, he fears me. I'm hit with his CC. I'm stunned by the Warlock. I jump off the top. All the CCs hit me. None of them missed. And at this point, I'm putting in DPS. He goes defensive. He pops major cooldowns. And watch my health burn as him and the Warlock eat through close to a 75k health pool and almost killing me. Now, if I were to stay and fight this Warlock, I would most likely lose, being that he's at range and he can just DPS and kill me. So that alone tells you that two level 120s can put so much DPS in on a 110 that they can actually win the fight, especially when you've got CCs like they did. They resorted to using them very well, and then they also quick bursted on me and went ham. He resorted to his defensives and just went crazy on me. Imagine if that warrior had something like a Paladin bubble or a Lay on Hands. I could have been in a lot of trouble focusing that hard on just a simple 110. So how did those 110s or those low levels come out to almost destroying a 120 in a 2v1 situation? Now, obviously none of their abilities were missing, just like I've previously discussed in the video, and all of their CC was landing, unlike, you know, the Frost DK here. Trying to use Howling Blast on this high level monstrosity is just not going to hit the target, and that's what we're used to in the World of Warcraft world PvP. But as you can see with this world mode, things are a bit different than what we're used to. 120s or 110s are just as threatening to max level players as a max level player. The only difference, I'd have to say, the only advantage that a 120 would have over a lower level character is slightly higher damage and a bit higher health pool, but the health pool is also countered by the 110. As we look into something that's also important is the off stats on a lower level character compared to a higher level character. A lower level character is probably going to have around 9% more versatility just with the simple starting gear on this Frost DK. I haven't changed out anything on him right now, and he's gotten an insane amount of versatility, decreasing a lot of the damage he's going to be taking, and of course increasing his healing capabilities. Now, I have noticed with level 110 characters, their damage or their DPS is roughly around the 6 to 7k range in burst. I could hit about 6k on a Frost DK. I know other classes that can burst much harder for that at lower levels and do a lot of DPS. Now, this is just a 185 item level character. Can you imagine what a low level character with raid gear and legendaries is going to do to a max level character? This is going to be terrifying for anybody over 120. Of course, this is my max level character. As you can see from his health pool in the top left hand corner, he's sitting at about 75k health, while the lower character is sitting at about 15k health. Now, I'd say some of the most threatening people or levels I've came across were roughly around the 114 to 115 area. That I'd say legendaries are still active. Right now on the beta, we don't have legendaries. They completely removed them for this part of the testing. But as you can see from my DK right here, I am fully mythic'd out. I got 340 plus gear. I'm at 339 item level. That's because of the neck piece only goes to 320. Otherwise, I'd be above 340. My character is so strong that when I go into current raid testing, the raid scales me downward. My DK is geared to the teeth, ready for battle. And as you can see there, they were able to eat through a geared mythic equivalent 120. Those lobies, the lobies. And why is that? We can just simply take a look at off stats. Now, I've got about 6% versatility, which in my opinion is a bit high for a DPS on this side, but I do have quite a bit of versatility pieces as I'm scrolling over them, as you can see right there. But as for off stats, I'm sitting at about 6 to 8% lower than a fresh level 110. Now, imagine if a level 110 went out and gathered a bunch of questing gear and then came back to PvP. They could have around 23-24% in whatever choice they really want to, like a Frost DK. If he were just to hammer down haste in the first questing area and sit at level 110 with his legendary items, it could be very, very scary for max level players, especially if he's just, you know, coming out of Antorus mythic rating and has, you know, what was it, 980 item level is going to be pretty terrifying when they stat squish, and that's what you're going to be fighting as you're over in the world questing in the alternate zone, trying to, you know, get your quest done, and you start getting ganked by level 110s. It's going to be kind of crazy to see, because it right now it can happen, and it will happen, as you saw from that clip. But overall, I'd have to say it really takes a few 110s. You can't just 1v1 situation. If this DK were to go up against a 110, I would hit him so hard that he probably wouldn't pop any defensive cooldowns or have time to pop offensive cooldowns before I killed him. But if they had reaction kind of like that warrior did, now imagine if that warrior would have reacted slightly faster. My health was extremely low by the time he died. He could have came back and killed me if he would have reacted slightly faster. Heck, if he would have jumped off the edge and then heroically back onto the ship, somehow did some crazy magic like that, they could have killed me without a single death. It could have been very, very bad for a 120 that day. So to quickly sum up this video, is this going to be good for the PvP community and of course the YouTube community, since that's where we are really? As far as YouTube PvP video goes, this is going to give us or present us with a bigger range of being able to create videos, which is going to be good for both the channels and everyone who likes watching the channels, such as you guys, that really give us just more stuff that we can do, more people we can fight, more things we could do. Because if a level 120 goes off and fights, let's say 3 level 113s, that level 120 should obviously lose that fight. Now, if a level 120 goes out and fights 2 level 113s, either side could really win. It would actually have to come down to complete skill between the two sides. Now, if a 120 goes off and kills a level 110 1v1 in world situation in PvP, that level 120 obviously should win. I mean, there's not really going to be much argument there. We'll have to see what it's like when they have on raid gear, though. Level 110s with full raid gear and legendaries is going to be kind of scary to see. But overall, I think this is actually really good for world PvP, because from a 120 standpoint, it feels like it's going to be a bit harder. But let's say you're leveling up, you're playing your low level character, and a level 120 starts ganking you and your friend. Would you want to be able to fight back? Would you want to be able to fight off that 120 on your low B characters, or do you want to just stand no chance at all? So it's kind of like a double-sided sword. There's drawbacks, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot better overall for everyone involved. The PvP is going to feel a lot fuller than just bullying a low B character, which is something I like. Not necessarily as much as they did in Legion, though. I feel like with Battlegrounds and PvP, I felt like gearing up and getting ready for further PvP didn't necessarily affect PvP enough. Actually playing the game, getting PvP gear, it just didn't feel like there was enough going on there to warrant, you know, spending multiple days raiding each week just for PvP. And I noticed a lot of people were a bit, I'd say hesitant of gearing up for the PvP in Legion, and that's something I don't want to see in battle for Azeroth. So I do want to see a bit of a gear difference there, but I think in world PvP, this is going to fix, you know, the major ganking issue. Ganking a lot of classes and standing on a, like, let's say a world quest character is not going to be very viable if you're not a stealthy, if you're not a feral druid, if you're not a rogue and you can't stealth and gank a target and get away. It's going to end up being very bad for you, and it could just it wouldn't be good. It just overall it would not be good. It just wouldn't be good. I don't suggest doing it at all. So I'm definitely looking forward to those changes at all, because just that really wouldn't be fun for any lobby character to be out questing on their own island. Let's say you're level 113 and you're up here in Nazmir and you're just doing these quests out here, doing some of these quest areas, and all of a sudden you just start being killed by 120 Horde because in that area they are doing a world quest for some reason, collecting something, but they're just running through there constantly and they'll just, you know, one shot you and take you out. Well, the 120s that are under geared, obviously the geared ones are going to be a little bit harder to take down, but the under geared ones are going to be a lot less threatening, especially if you're questing with a group of 3 people, because a 120 is going to have a pretty hard time ganking 3 under geared players, 3 low geared or low leveled players in comparison to what it used to be. So it's gonna be a bit better, at least from my point of view. Let me know down in the comments below if you don't feel like that's gonna be better, if you don't want it like that, because I mean, I personally enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. But that's really going to kind of sum up this video, I'd have to say, for this kind of talk about world PvP and how it is now compared to how it used to be, and the fact that 110s can actually kill 120s. So if you guys are wondering for future PvP videos, or you're just kind of wondering for the future expansion, you need to be a little bit more careful trying to gank lobbies, especially if they're in a group, because they are quite a bit stronger than they used to be. So leave a like on this video if you enjoyed this explanation, and of course comment if you have any questions. Subscribe for more future Frost DK and Holy DK, just DK content in general. And until next time, this was your boy Hazzed.